What the Future Holds for the Education of Women in Pakistan by Christine Houston. The recent history of education. I want to begin our this Futures podcast with this quote by Malala. Education is education. We should learn everything and then choose which path to follow. Education is neither Eastern nor Western, it is human. As we've learned throughout the semester, the Taliban was a huge deterrent in government education, but especially in the education of women. Not only did the Taliban launch a mission to destroy schools, some that had existed and performed well for many years, but it also launched a terrorism campaign to frighten girls into staying home for fear of their safety. Many schoolgirls who would normally have excelled and pursued an education were frightened into staying home and pressured into doing so from their male family members. The Taliban didn't just destroy schools and threaten children, it also obliterated hundreds of years of art and history with the bombing of the Buddhist statues throughout the countryside, in the Valley of Swat and elsewhere throughout the country. These actions inspired international outcry. Historically, girls face several obstacles in gaining an education. First, there's a huge stigma about whether girls should be allowed to go to school at all. While boys are educated, girls often remain at home with the idea that there's no need for a girl to attend school when she'll become a mother and homemaker in the future. They feel like this is a waste of their money and their time. Second, many Pakistanis marry early. 1 in 5 girls are married before the age of 18. And of course, once they marry, their focus turns from school. They leave school and never return to focus on home and family. Another big factor is poverty. Basic human needs are often not met in the general population of Pakistanis. We've also learned how the poor have been targeted by the Taliban, who offer to educate their sons and care for them, but really just take them in for indoctrination into militant extremism. Another factor is that government schools are not available. Some schools exist, but teachers don't show up on a regular basis, and many schools have been destroyed through military action. Private schools are often out of reach for poor Pakistanis. However, there is some hope in the research I've been doing. I was really excited to see the positive steps being taken by Pakistan and even other countries in helping to change this tide of this problem with education. In 2003, a stipend program was introduced, paying the families of female students who attend school 80% of the time, a total of 2,400 rupees a year. And by 2014, this program was paying 393,000 pupils. In other provinces, private and public schools have worked together to fund education for students. And as well as the National Commission for Human Development has made great efforts to educate women. It's established 6,000 literacy centers across 91 districts with the aim of teaching boys and girls to read. And their goal, which I love, is that 90% of literacy, that 90% of Pakistanis will be literate by 2025. I'd also like to highlight another wonderful development. In March 2017, the UNESCO Director General Audrey Azoulay and the Korean ambassador to UNESCO, Lee Byung-hun, signed an agreement that is a $3.4 million project between UNESCO's Girls' Right to Education program in Pakistan and Korean International Cooperation Agency, with the aim to bring quality education to the remote regions of Pakistan where the illiterate rate is 74%. Second, Malala opened a state-of-the-art school using the Malala Fund and her Nobel Peace Prize money. I love this quote that she shared. Pakistan comes second after Nigeria in the ranking of out-of-school children, with 24 million girls and boys denied access to education today. My dream is to see all Pakistani children with access to 12 years of free, safe, and quality education. In just a few years, Malala Fund has invested $6 million in our work for girls' education in Pakistan, from opening the first secondary school for girls in Shangla to supporting Gul Makai champions across the country. What an amazing work she's doing. Finally, these two ladies, Shazia Ramzan and Kanat Riaz, were with Malala when she was shot, and they have written a book called Knowledge is Bulletproof. And they have been doing an amazing work, sharing their story and fighting for their right to learn, for the right for women and girls to learn throughout the country. Here's that book. It actually has a bulletproof cover that can withstand a 5 millimeter bullet from a certain distance. While the initial numbers of 58% literacy can be discouraging, I believe the girls and women in this country are gaining ground. First, by changing the traditions of their fathers, as women and mothers promote education for their girls and support them in their efforts. I believe Malala and others like her will continue to push for greater strides in Pakistan, and their voices will only continue to be amplified. As one generation of women become educated, the next will only rise to greater heights. I believe that there is great hope for the education of women in Pakistan in the next 10 years. I'd like to end my screencast with this quote. There are two powers in the world. One is the sword and the other is the pen. There is a third power stronger than both, that of women. This is from Malala, and I believe it is true. Thank you for listening.